Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one lined up for you this morning. We're going to hear from Dark Defender and Coins Kid, and more importantly, we're going to hear a massive factor in what we need to pay attention to when it comes to crypto and XRP price. And we're also going to take a look at how the analysts are seeing this $2.60, $4.50, $20, $103, $256, and beyond for XRP price. And it's a bit of an eye opener, I think, to see these patterns, and we're going to take a look at those today as well. We're also going to hear, because there's a correction to make on a couple pieces of news from yesterday from Charlie Lee and myself, MasterCard and Dubai Asset Management, going to cover that. And heads up, 42 altcoins in trouble as Korea looks to shut down 65 to 75% of exchanges. We'll get into it. BlockFi is sitting in the hot seat. Hello, move over. There's a lot more room on this bus. It's not only Uniswap. It's not only Ripple. It's not only Coinbase. BlockFi joins the party. And as I said, we're also going to hear from Kevin O'Leary, who slams the Ethereum network. Uh-oh. We got a lot to go over. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove, and everything we're talking about here today, looking at a $2.090 trillion market cap. So market cap says it's up about 3.78, but we know we're off from the 2.5 all-time high for cryptocurrency market cap. We'll keep an eye on it. Although Bitcoin's responding, it's a little up this morning, back over 45,000 at 46,000 plus, Ethereum at 3,300 plus, and we see Cardano at $2.40 this morning. Shout out to Charles Hoskinson. And looking right here, XRP is $1.08 this morning. And careful what we call progress. We'll keep an eye on it. But nevertheless, we do know we're sitting right around a major back test support line. Low side of the XRP price is dipped as low as 103.20. High side is at 109.69, which is that back test support line. We'll keep an eye on it. We're going to hear from these technical analysts, and I think you're going to like it. This is a reminder for anybody who's accredited. And by the way, if you're accredited in another country, you only have to meet the standards and requirements of the regulators and the requirements in your country, not the US. So keep that in mind as you look at these products as Ripple, Uphold, and all these other Zipline, Kraken, Link2. It's all on here and it's all available, but it does not last long. Look at this news right here. BitTrue launched Flare Finance and XDC partner Legacy. So they're launching stuff. Look, they just hit the top 15 exchanges, I believe it was, we talked about yesterday. Shout out to Curus and the team over there at BitTrue. Love what they're doing. Don't forget, they built their whole platform on the XRP ledger. How about that one? Okay, so now let's get to some corrections from yesterday. We have two here on this channel. One is Charlie Lee appeared on Bloomberg yesterday afternoon and discussed a fake press release that suggested Walmart would use Litecoin. Don't feel bad, Charlie. We did it too. And we also had another piece of news that we covered here was a document which was about top-level domains, which we believed was connected to the XRP protocol, but it doesn't look like it may have been legitimate. So, well, I mean, it was a legitimate document, but it doesn't look like it was actually connected to XRP protocol the way we thought. Now, I do have another piece of information that may suggest there is a there, but I don't want to move forward with it. And I did unlist the video yesterday just until I can confirm this other piece. If I can confirm that other piece of data, then it's back on and everything is legit, but we need to do that first. So I'm going to I kept that video pulled. So if you try to click on it, you won't be able to get in until we can verify it a little further. But that's how we do it here. We're cutting edge, baby. We're not trying to be first. We're just trying to bring you what's out here if we can verify it. But we had to pull that one back too. So we'll keep you posted. Looking right here, DJ Peter Vass tells us MasterCard Dubai Asset Management team on expanding use of payments app in the UAE. Just very quickly here, MasterCard is keeping an arrangement going with Dubai Asset Management in order to promote robust digital payments in the UAE, the press release says. If you go through this, it'll tell you that they're all very excited. You know, the citizens in a large portion have made it very clear that they would rather live in a smart city. And I think we all know the most modern technology and payments and settlement and all that stuff. So there's really nothing more to glean to that other than MasterCard is still working with Dubai. The one thing I wanted to remind people of is that this is where things happen. On the other side of the world where you think they're too far away, that they can't touch you, and the next thing you know, it's happening everywhere. And we know it is going to happen everywhere because we see a crackdown going on globally. It's not just the US and the SEC confusion here. We're seeing a crackdown in other places too, like Korea. 42 altcoins face crisis as Korea is set to close 65 to 75% of all of its crypto exchanges. It goes on here to say, to be able to register with authorities, South Korean operators must partner with local banks to open real name bank accounts for customers. But as the report pointed out, local lenders were reluctant to take that route, scared of being exposed to money laundering and other financial crimes. Huge investor losses are expected with trading suspended and assets frozen at many small exchanges, as customer protection will not likely be the priority of those exchanges facing imminent closure, said the president of the Korean Consumer Federation told the Financial Times. And again, this is just a reminder here because it has the date involved here. The deadline hits on September 24th if they fail to register their businesses basically as virtual asset service providers, or known as VASP, right, with the government wiping out about 3 trillion won, which is 2.6 billion US dollars, forcing closure of those particular exchanges and those altcoins on those exchanges. If you were on those exchanges, you better do something with your portfolio. That's it right there. And by the way, another public disclaimer. Do not click on anything under my comments that ask you to use WhatsApp. I do not use WhatsApp, and I like WhatsApp, but the reason I don't use it is because the scammers that try to impersonate me underneath of my channel and on my videos always say to use that, and that is not me. I will never ask you to send me money or to text me on WhatsApp, and that's exactly why I don't use the platform. So, okay, moving on and getting back more towards the U.S. and the morass that is in this country. Look, again, you know, if you haven't seen the video that I did yesterday, that is out, that I left out, which is why aren't countries that have clarity with XRP using it to its full scale intended use? Please go watch that video. BlockFi CEO Zach Prince joins the bus ride with Uniswap, Ripple, and Coinbase, whose interest-bearing crypto account has come under scrutiny in at least 5 states, whose company's fate repeatedly remains uncertain, says the leading industry ultimately needs word from the Fed. And just to highlight here, he says, we're not going to decide what box crypto lending belongs in based on what New Jersey does or what Texas does or what any other state does. It's going to come down to federal regulators like the SEC or the Office of Comptroller of Currency, creating a path for this type of activity to happen. He said at Skybridge Capital's SALT conference, the controversy is a fight of definitions. BlockFi has insisted its interest account service is not a security, while the state securities regulators claim otherwise. I love what he said here. The controversy is a fight of definitions, and it absolutely is. I think that's so well said. Coinbase staring down the same similar morass with the SEC, which has threatened to be sued over crypto lending product. It is not yet launched. Federal fights may yield a more enduring verdict of the U.S. lending industry, according to Prince. There needs to be clarity at a national level, he said. Well said. And listen, you know, when it comes to this, you have to say again, how is it that Aave, which is a lending platform company, on top of Ethereum, which got a free pass for overlooking the ICO, gets to do all of what they're doing with lending with no recourse? How is this? It is really quite a question. Looking right here, and to make matters worse, Ethereum gets a free pass, Aave gets to do lending, but Coinbase doesn't, and now BlockFi is staring down the crosshairs of a federal regulator like the SEC too, and Ethereum's too slow. We already know it is not a solution make for the future. The gas fees are incredibly high. That is not a solution for the fourth industrial revolution. And I know everybody's like, well, we're going to stake at 2.0, and when we go to 2.0, it'll be better. Well, we're not at 2.0, and it isn't better. So I'll see that when it gets here. But the reality is Kevin O'Leary is pointing out exactly what's wrong here too. And it's not much to hear other than this. I find Ethereum as a user, it's too slow. And so there's going to be other chains that are going to emerge. He points out Cardano, Solana, and Polkadot have emerged as formidable Ethereum competitors. And he's right. O'Leary also states that he is optimistic about decentralized finance industry, adding the industry is much broader than the two largest cryptos. He goes on to say, though, I can't afford to get involved with crypto if the regulators say it's not okay. I can't afford to be offside, and I cannot afford to be non-compliant. And that's absolutely the truth. And this comes down to the scary part that we've talked about, which is Congress has got to do something with legislation that it doesn't stifle innovation, but it certainly needs to clear way of where the SEC purview and the CFTC and the Treasury and so on lies, so we can get the market moving again. And more importantly, what does that mean to get the market moving again? To get the kind of clarity we need to allow massive institutional money and large industry players to say, now I can come in and take a position on this tech, or the work that we've done over the last 5 to 6 years, I can now flip the switch and turn it on and use it because we have defined what these things are. That's important. Well, let me tell you something. Over in Britain, we're seeing they got no confusion over there. $20 billion British hedge fund Brevin Howard has launched a crypto division. Institutions are coming. Yeah, how about that one? And see, this is the thing. When I see the issues going on here in the U.S., when I see the clampdown from the regulators in Korea, and then I see the UK, which we know has more clarity than most other places, I actually see this all coming together globally. Not as fast as anyone would like, but I certainly see it coming together. Looking right here, this is Dark Defender, who is giving us really a nice perspective here. And what you're seeing with these angles very quickly is Elliott waves, right? These structures here. And what's important to note about this particular tweet that he's made here is an example of sub-cycles and cycles and a grand cycle. So in other words, you can have mini Elliott waves inside larger Elliott waves. So like the orange color is a smaller Elliott wave cycle inside a larger Elliott wave cycle. And then there's even a more grand Elliott wave cycle that this light blue is inside of that he's not shown here. But nevertheless, this is how XRP is targeting $2, $60, $7, $13, and $20 plus. When the date came, he said, I will use the blue pattern as a sub-cycle and calculate the $103 and $256 under a grand cycle. So in other words, there's a larger Elliott wave that may go up here, here, and here, and beyond, right? And the reality is that you get a good image of this from the smaller cycle that we see, which tells us we could see a correction take us down, as we have said, from Dark Defender and CoinsKid into the 80-cent range, and none of these price targets are out of the question. Because it's all leading indicator, theory-based, and because we know that markets move with, an impulse and then a correction and then an impulse and then consolidation and then a correction, right? And more correction. And, it's all of this. This is what we see. Impulse, correction, consolidate. Those are the things that happen. And what really brings me confidence is understanding that there's even another large, massive factor that plays into how price moves, and it's the dollar Dixie, which is the index of the US dollar. And what I'm going to show you right here is CoinsKid now, who is showing you literally the dollar Dixie is the red and green candles here, where he shows his head and shoulders pattern that actually broke down. And the orange line here is going to be reference of XRP price movement. And he's going to walk you through right now in this couple minutes here and break down for you how the dollar Dixie fails. We see the XRP price come up. The dollar Dixie here broke down low. And what do we see? XRP price broke up. There's an inverse correlation here, and he breaks it down beautifully. Let me spin this. Here you go.
Rally for crypto here, basically, you know. It's exactly the same things happened again here. Look, we've come into September, and we were looking for a catalyst here. You know, I think it was going to be around about the 1st September, but it wasn't. But in the DXY, we bounced off a key level support, which was a support of a rising wedge. Look, you fell out of it just there, which I gave you. Look, we rolled over, and what happened to XRP? Pumped. Do you see that? And then when we came down to our support target of the in the DXY of the rising wedge, which I gave you, look, come down to there, what happened? We bounced off it, and what happened to XRP? Dumped, didn't it? So do anticipate this. Why you got to come to your charts, okay? Draw this trend line on the DXY, because at the moment I think what you're doing here is very similar to what you did last year. You're putting in a head and shoulders pattern. So you've got a high, a higher high, and then a lower high. You're effectively rolling over, look. Head and shoulders pattern. When you lost that support, what happened to XRP? It pumped like crazy, didn't it? You know, so I'm expecting the same again here. If we fail to break this high, you know, if we fail to break this high and we put in a very similar scenario here where we do this left shoulder ahead and we come up here and put this right shoulder in and we fail to break it, you know, and this rolls over and loses this key level support just here in the DXY. If that starts to do that, this is where you're going to see this orange line sort of just take off into space, and that's the XRP price action. Okay, so there is an inverse correlation. So come to your charts, come to the DXY, drop this trend line in, because at the minute I think you're on the verge of creating some kind of head and shoulders pattern here, okay, for the DXY. So it's all about breaking this high. If you start to see the DXY come up and break this high up here and continue this, I think it is the bear market for crypto, and it's confirmation of that. Do you understand that? But if you do start to roll over here and lose this key level support, this, as I have shown you, could be really, really good for crypto, okay, and it could be a catalyst for an explosion, basically, just like this was a catalyst bouncing off his key level support for a dump, basically, in crypto. So do you understand that? So it's all about breaking this high. So with XRP, then the price action, you can see that you're holding the weekly 20 at the moment. That's that yellow line, okay? But if you was to see a bit of a correction, like I said to you, just put some cheeky bids in down here on the 050, because I do anticipate that you could see a little wick down to there, just as you did in this correction. You sort of wick down to 050 just there, and you got the little bounce and pick up, okay? You never, what we don't want to see here for XRP is something like this, where you start to come under this, hit your head on the weekly, like you did here, okay? When you start to do that, you're looking at a larger correction, and I think at that point, you know, you could be looking at a bear market, because you're starting to lose structure, you fall out of this, and you're rolling, basically, okay? So I don't anticipate that, but because I don't anticipate does not mean it won't happen. I will always show you the what ifs, okay? It's all about support and resistance. But right now, I think XRP, it's having a correction, it's looking for continuation, it's holding a key level support for continuation, you know, providing you can sort of not lose a key level support. Your primary level of support for me is equally the 55 EMA on the daily. Can't lose that, because if you start to come down and you start to lose that on the daily, on the weekly, sorry, currently sits at around about 73 cents, okay? That would actually be lower than the golden ratio retracement right there, and I could see you potentially just sort of rolling here. You know, you're doing something like that, and you're entering the bear market, okay? So it's doing really well. It is doing really well, and like I said to you, it's sort of playing out as it's played out before, where you get the break and you're looking at a minimal $4.50 on the next break, but we're looking for a bearish catalyst in the DXY. I think that is key, okay? So if we can put...
And there you have it. And we're looking for that bearish catalyst in the Dixie, in the dollar index, that inverse correlation that could provide that breakout for crypto and XRP. That would really push us to that $4.50 and then ultimately $8 plus, $13 plus. And you couple that with the fundamental news of the case ending, or even getting even stronger for Ripple before the case ends, we could see those kind of moves to those price points. Now that is exciting. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Make sure you check out all the links in the description and the comment box. They are great products and services, and they're trusted, vetted links that I use each and every day. And by the way, there's great deals